Sarah Lynn. This accent is from North Carolina. I've lived here for 20 years and I just can't shake it yet. So I am the managing partner in charge of IT security advisory services, which is a business solutions arm of BPM. We've been involved with the firm for a little over a year and in business for 19 years. Our office, our BPM office is in Fairfield, if you know where that is. We're on the Green Valley side. As I was describing earlier, 1 mile as the crow flies from Napa and about 8 miles from the fires in Vacaville right now. So we've got a nice little smoky, ashy view going on here as well. And so my team does two different important things. We do advising around the areas of compliance, and data privacy is one of our specialties. I'm actually a certified data privacy security engineer, of which there are only 302 of in the world right now. So it's an important feature as we go forward into 2020 and beyond. I believe that data privacy is going to be a cybersecurity and business conversation at minimum for the next 10 years. It's going to be super important. The other thing that my team can do, we have a monitoring service that we do put in place for some small to medium businesses that allow us to monitor to make sure that whatever data privacy rules that you want to put in place or need to legally put in place, that they stay in place, that no one's slipping back doors and moving your data out the back door on purpose or by accident. So we do have a monitoring service. Right now we have 139 different sites or customer sites that we monitor, and these are banks, financial institutions, credit unions, insurance, technology, small and medium businesses that really are focused on keeping their privacy data private. So I'm not going to bore you with a lot of slides. I'm going to give you a couple, and then we'll get right into it. If you don't know BPM well, we are a firm that was founded, a tax advisory assurance firm that was founded in 1986. We have over 500 employees, and this says over 40 partners, but we actually have over 50 partners now. And our locations, our big locations are in San Francisco, Menlo Park, Walnut Creek, and then we and San Jose, and then we have Santa Rosa, St. Helena, Cayman Islands, Bengaluru, India, Eugene, Oregon, Orange County, California, Stockton, Seattle, Washington, and my office in Fairfield, California. So we have quite a bit going on in this area, and we love to support our customers. We're, like I said, in the business solution side of the house, so we're not CPAs, we're not tax advisors, we're not accountants, but we are services that support those other services and our clients. So that's important to know. And even though BPM itself has a very global reach, we also have a lot of specialties domestically, and we also have the reach for your clients. If your clients are not local and are international, we do have quite a bit of reach. My team has done a lot of work in Australia and Canada as well. But what you probably want to know about the data privacy advisory is that we are special. We are a specialty in the US, Europe, Canada, Singapore, Cayman Islands, and Thailand. We focus on the data privacy laws and implementation of those laws with technology around those countries. And we, in the back end, we cross map them to each other so we can help support. Let's say if you have US clients only, and then you pick up European clients or Canadian clients, then we can easily help you move your data privacy posture a little bit left or right to help in this space. And then I mentioned that we also can do monitoring from right on the other side of this wall. I know I have a lovely Napa marked background, so it doesn't look like I have a wall, but I actually am in the office, and there is a wall here. On the other side of this wall is our monitoring center. So that's pretty important to know. But what we really want to get down into are, what are these new data privacy laws about? Does it affect my business? And what are data privacy elements? And what should my concerns be? So I imagine most people on this call are in California, in the Stockton area, and you have CCPA on your mind, California Consumer Privacy Act. It is a law. It did go into effect January 1st. It actually has some fees involved as of July 1st if something happens and you don't have the right things in place. So we are rapidly working with customers who between January and July didn't really have CCPA on their mind. They had maybe something else big on their mind. And so they're just getting around to thinking about privacy. And so when we think about privacy, we think about our personal selves. And that's a really good starting point, because California Consumer Privacy Act, GDPR for Europe, and the OCIPA for Oregon all look at personal data that is stored or transmitted or processed somewhere. And so I'm always concerned about my personal data and where it lives, where it gets transmitted to, and who's processing that data for what reason. And as a business owner, there are some pieces of data that you may own. You probably know your client's name. So Sarah is not enough to be a piece of personal information, but Sarah Lynn is enough to be one piece of personal information. The identifiers get deeper when you say Sarah A. Lynn. That's a deeper personal identifier. And when you match my name, Sarah A. Lynn, with any of these other things listed in the red bullet points, my alias, my dad called me Lamb Chop, so if we just match Sarah A. Lynn with Lamb Chop, now we have PII, Personal Identifiable Information. Or maybe it's not Lamb Chop, maybe it's something like my license tag is SALYNN. That's Personal Identifiable Information matched with my name, Sarah A. Lynn. So I'm imagining that every single one of you have clients where you have their name, their formal legal name. That in itself is not PII, but it is personal, but it becomes personal identifiable information when you match it either with an alias like Lamb Chop, household information like where I live, how many people live in my house, and information that the Federal Census Bureau is probably collecting. If you match those information, my physical address or my IP address. Now, if you can get my IP address for something in my house, even if it's my EV charger that's on the wall in my garage, and match it with my name or my alias, Lamb Chop, then you become a recipient of my PII. You now have my personal identifiable information. You have two pieces of data that identify Sarah A. Lynn. Other identifiable pair-ups or match-ups would be a geolocation data. So if you know that I live in Fairfield, 1 mile from Napa as the crow flies, or that my office is also 1.25 miles from that location, you now have other personal identifiable information about me. Maybe if you're filling out my information for buying a home, you have my social security number. Mm-hmm. Now you've got my name, my social security number, you are holding PII. You have my driver's license number, my passport number. Maybe in the case of a client I talked to this morning, they had installed biometric locks at their front door of their office, thinking this was wonderful technology. Now during our COVID-19 pandemic stage, everybody's a little worried about touching that biometric thing, but that biometric data matched with my name, or my alias lamb chop then becomes PII, personal identifiable information. And then, of course, employment data. You all have employment data on your employees unless you have put it into a cloud application, you've redacted it, or you have obfuscated it, and you can't see all of my employment data. I bet you can see my employment data if I'm in your employee, or I'm your contractor, or I'm your 1099, or I'm your corp to corp business partner. You probably have my employment data. You might have my education data. You know where I went to school. You know where I got my master's degree. You know all my certifications. You have educational data matched with my name or my alias or where I live becomes PII. Even shopping records. So if you're in retail and you're keeping, just like Woodin Valley Winery, 1.75 miles away from my house, this is important information to know how far the winery is from your house. That data that Woodin Valley Winery has on me knows that I am ready and able to take all cuvées and all red blends at any moment. And I'm ready to come pick those up. But that information aligned with my name or my alias, lamb chop, becomes PII. So those shopping records, you know, we all have them on Amazon, and we might have them in our businesses, especially if we're doing something with retail or something online. Internet activity, if you're collecting my internet activity, where I'm shopping, what I'm looking at, those types of things, that becomes PII. This is Facebook. Facebook knows who I am. Facebook knows all my internet activity. If I didn't turn on that security feature to block it, Facebook knows my shopping records if they can pull the cache from another browser on my machine and start displaying, you know, the top 10 wines that are on sale this weekend at Bevmo. They're going to have that information. It is PII if they can match these two things together. And then sometimes there are other pieces of data that are not legally publicly available, but that they identify you, and that becomes things like health records and those types of things. If that information is tied together, maybe in a doctor's office or a dentist's office or a clinic or a lab, and it puts it together for me, then you're holding PII. So I'm just putting that thought out there because as we look at why a business should be concerned about data privacy, we start thinking about all the places that data is shared and stored. If you are a small to medium business, you might have your HR, human resources records in a file cabinet, and you have to do a certain level of security there. It might be in a cloud app where I like to keep mine, but I have a backup data over here in another cloud app. And so I have to be concerned about where all the cloud data is that I'm supposed to be in charge of, and all the file cabinets that I'm supposed to be in charge of, that I know all the key numbers for all the people that can turn that key on that file cabinet, or all the people that have access turn the key on the cloud. So pretty important information if you think about your HR systems. If you're more than 2 or 3 of you in the office, you probably have some type of HR system, whether it's a file cabinet, your laptop, a server, or the cloud. So those are pretty important to think about. Also think about your financial systems that you utilize for your business. When we were much smaller, we used something as simple as QuickBooks. And then QuickBooks went into the cloud and became QuickBooks Online. So I am still responsible for the QuickBooks data, whether it's on my laptop, on a server, in the cloud. I'm still responsible for the financial data that belongs to between me and the bank. I'm responsible for any banking app that I use on my phone, on my laptop, on my browser. that only me and the bank can be the right people to have access. So you might say, I'm not worried about that, Sarah. I've been using this same bank for 20 years, never had a problem. But let's say that I decide to go on a little trip to San Diego on the weekend, and somebody calls me and says, oh my goodness, there's a banking problem with my business, and I decide to use the hotel Wi-Fi and log in. Then I have accidentally given availability to access to what I am typing on my computer to someone that can get to that hotel Wi-Fi. So putting some practices in place, even for yourself when you travel, to do a little more security around where PII data might show up and what you're responsible for is pretty important as a business owner, or running a business, being the CEO of the business, pretty important. Anything that deals with your financial data, whether it's a bank, a banking app where you store financial spreadsheets, some of us use Dropbox, Box, SharePoint, maybe you still use your laptop. Is that laptop encrypted? Are those files secure? Is the cloud encrypted? Is that secure? Is the bank encryption layer in place so that you're good? And when you go to a hotel, do you practice an additional layer of security? So all the financial data, which is privacy data about your business or about you, or maybe even your clients, if you use some type of payment structure there with them, that data needs to be protected. Health data, of course, is the one that people think about a lot because we've had the HIPAA laws around since Hillary Clinton decided HIPAA was important way before Obamacare. These things were important features of the HIPAA laws, and these are privacy data that lives inside of our health applications, our wellness applications, our retirement applications. There is that health privacy data living there. Some of us may have that information in a file cabinet, some may have it in a server, a laptop, or in the cloud. All of those places we're responsible for ourselves and our employees. And then things that people don't think about are energy information. Energy information about you or about the client allows for geo-tracking of where you or their home is located, or where they are using electricity, even if they have an electric vehicle. That utility information is measured around the grid. If I'm in San Diego with my electric vehicle, the geo-tracking data knows that I have moved the MAC address of my computer on wheels, the EV vehicle, from Fairfield, California to Rancho Bernardo, California. It knows exactly where I am with geo-tracking data, which is PII. Utility information that comes for your house. Think about solar power data. How much data does PG&E and your solar company, or for those of us who would love to have wind power company information, where is that data, and how is it aligned with Sarah A. Lynn or Lamb Chop and becomes personal identifiable information? And then the one that is totally overlooked are all the technology apps you have in your business, all the clouds, all the data storage, all the online storage. Really digging into where that personal information shows up is something that could help you feel more secure about your business. Your clients may ask you questions like on the left here: where is my data held? Is my data encrypted? How long do you retain my data? Is there any legal hold requirements on my data? When will you notify me if something's wrong with my data, or my data has leaked, or if you are ensuring me my data has not leaked? And what are your response requirements? Are you going to get back with me in 1 day, 3 days, or, like TJ Maxx did 18 months later, we tell you that your credit card was breached and we're sorry. these are concerns that your clients may ask you. Even these 6 or 7 bullet points are good to have your answers baked and done in advance. So it gives your clients and your prospects a feeling of security when you can tell them exactly where their data is held, if it's encrypted and protected, and how long you'll hold on to it, and what you will do if they ask you to destroy the data. So you might say, destroy the data. I don't destroy any data. I never destroy any data. Well, if you have a prospect that never becomes a customer, they have a legal right to ask you to destroy the data according to California Consumer Privacy Act, and you have a requirement to prove that you did. And you have 30 days to do it. So that's pretty important information. You can't just keep people's data in perpetuity. You should have a guideline already, a prospect who doesn't buy anything from me, who talks to me but doesn't buy, and I collect data. I'm going to automatically destroy that data every 6 years. And this is a number that you can make smaller or larger because there's not a requirement for it to be 6 years. I'm just making this up. And if they call me and ask me to destroy their data, I will do it and provide them evidence within 30 days. This sounds good. We can create a policy. We just want to see if we can do it. We need to make it work for your business, but we need to also follow the law. So these are pretty good steps. You might have an employee who says, I don't work for you anymore, destroy my data. And it is completely opposite. Legally, you cannot destroy an employee's data for 7 years in the United States. So even if they call and they say, I don't work for you anymore, I want you to destroy all my data, you have the legal right to say, legally, I have to keep it for 7 years. Would you like me to mark it as destruction in 7 years and 1 day? And they say yes, and you record that, and somehow you remember to destroy it in 7 years and 1 day. And there are some tools to help you remember. I have things set to auto destroy based on a retention that I put in place. And I use some tools to do that. And then you might want to think about, what kind of data you're holding, that privacy data. These are those types of information, so that you can sort of assess the risk for yourself or your company. And what we do for small to medium businesses is we do a gap analysis and help you work through it. Because many people are just now thinking about this and then realizing that they could possibly have 100 pieces of data types. And what do I do with all these things? What do I do with all these data types? And how do I assure my customers that I want to keep forever and my prospects that I definitely want to get and continue to keep forever? How do I ensure them that I'm holding their data properly, I'm encrypting their data properly, I'm retaining their data properly, I'm notifying properly, and I'm happy to work with them forever and ever and ever? So these are areas that we help you focus on by doing a gap analysis